as a boy, and I served quite a number of years in the parachute regiment, and I got sick of jumping out of perfectly serviceable aircraft, and I realised there must be other things to do. And then one day my colonel said to me, "Corporal Moran, would you like to go special duties?" I didn't have a clue what special duties were. I just said yes. Anyway, special duties basically were a brand new army organisation that was being set up to counter the terrorist threat in Northern Ireland. And the idea was they'd pull out soldiers with no particular skill sets that were effectively grey men to basically work undercover in a hostile environment. And to do that, we obviously deployed ourselves and also a lot of technical equipment. But in those days, it was very, very primitive, so we learnt a lot. A hard lesson from the IRA, because they were very, very, competent terrorist organisations. So anyway, over the years, we developed quite a good skill set in carrying out covert operations. And from that, we were so successful, my unit eventually morphed into what's called a Special Reconnaissance Regiment. And that basically was designed to carry out covert operations anywhere in the world where undercover soldiers would blend in with the local population. I run the technical countermeasure side of Valkyrie, so we get called in on an ad hoc basis to carry out in-depth searches of organisations, high net worth individual places, to look for those sort of threats that the client perceives to have. It's a 360-degree threat. You don't know what the threat is going to be before you get there. So you have to bring along enough equipment to try and mitigate that. It can be something as simple as having the right screwdriver to undo a panel that's giving off a signal. If you haven't got the right screwdriver set, the whole thing can fall down. So it's finite details that we look at. So we have very sophisticated spectrum analysis equipment. We're looking at all sorts of radio signals. We're looking at dormant signals. We're looking at threat from other areas. But at the end of the day, it's still a methodical fingertip search of a client's location.
Well, I think countermeasures is a cornerstone capability of Valkyrie. For years we have subcontracted that capability to some of the other larger security firms who look to us to provide expertise in that area, to be able to maintain a lead in the arms race, the technical arms race, in terms of technical surveillance and counter-technical surveillance. You need to be right on the top of your game, and Valkyrie are, and I think we're recognised leaders in that field, so that's a core competence.
For my side of the business, we're not a reactive company. The company brings us in and says, look, I think I have a problem. I'm losing information, or we're going through a particularly nasty takeover. The people on the other side are pretty aggressive. So we are more reactive than proactive. Because that's the nature of the beast. There's no such thing as a typical client. You know, it could be Mrs. Smiggins, who's having a rather serious divorce situation, who's worried about her husband, or it could be an ultra high net worth individual who's going through some serious takeovers and mergers, and the other side are very aggressive. So there's no typical client. So that's why we prefer to be reactive rather than proactive.
Insofar as the threat from cyber and eavesdropping, as technology gets smaller and more capable, our countermeasure side has been more and more in use to protect people's environment. So it is swinging from pure physical security through to more cyber and technology-led security solutions. But people don't change, and ultimately, whether we're working with high net worths, with their family offices, or indeed their businesses, as well as some of the large international corporates, the requirements are fundamentally the same. It's just the tools that we have to deploy in order to maintain our edge in the arms race that is particularly the technology advances in countermeasures are key, and that has been the fundamental difference.